Here we are. A minute ahead of time, but then we can give the rest, those who want to attend, some time to join. Good morning, everybody. Alfredo here, and thanks for joining my latest webinar, training webinar, Quality Inspections, Quality Management in Business Central. I'm recording this meeting, by the way, but I will share it, and I will share it later with you. Feel free to keep your camera off, but don't worry about your personal details, because before sharing this recording, David, hi David. Before sharing this recording, I will use editing software to hide your personal details. So your name, your face, if you make a comment, if you write a comment, if you want to say something, that will be hidden, okay? You will not see it. We've got about 65 people who signed up for this meeting. One of the largest, I believe the largest was more than 100 for data migration. By the way, I expect a third of you to join. So 16, 20 is perfectly fine. So without further ado, it's 10:30. Let's get on with quality management. Today, I'm not going to talk about the basics, right, of this module, because there is enough materials online. Microsoft Learn, the Microsoft team, in fact, shared a nice video, published a video on the official Business Central YouTube channel that explains the foundation of quality management. I'm not going to repeat what's already available, because there's no point. Well, I'm going to share you what they didn't share, so the advanced bits, the fun bits that you can apply to warehouse management and manufacturing. There is never enough content about warehouse management and manufacturing, because it's a complex subject, right? And so if you've never seen quality management, I'll give you just a quick introduction, but please go check the official video on the YouTube channel, because it's very well done. That gives you the framework, the foundation. Today is what you can do on top of that. All right. Right. Let's start with my demo. There we go. So I'm sharing my screen, so you should see my demo. Remember, this is a generic demo environment, Kronos International. And it's a US environment, so it's not Great Britain localization, but it doesn't matter, right? Because we're not talking about the financials. Quality management does not touch the finance and accounting posting group. It's not related to that. So very quick introduction. Quality management setup. It's got its own page, number series, extra reports, doesn't really matter. What matters for this video, for this training, is essentially this part, the rule triggers, the faults, because this is what at the moment we can do with this module. Say at the moment, because last week I was in Milan to give a presentation about this very module for Microsoft, the Business Central community in Italy, and the general feeling also with those who work for Microsoft, and there were a few members of the team, Microsoft team in Milan last week, they shared the same opinion. So the rule generation triggers at the moment, based on receiving, production, and inventory and warehousing, will probably get extended. But at the moment, we can trigger quality management on receipt, obviously the most common, but any kind of inventory receipt, including warehouse receipts, receiving on purchase orders directly, sales return and transfer orders, essentially whatever books inventory in a location. Whether you use advanced warehouse management or not, it doesn't matter. But again, it is supported. That's what we're going to cover today. We have production, which means production order, but also output. The difference here, for those who understand manufacturing, production management, is that the system sees the production order lines, the complete, not finished, right, completed, let's say, output of the production order, whether the order is released or refreshed as one set of rules, but also it sees the trigger output as different. And here it's where it gets interesting, because we might assume the quality management is about the output of a production order, right? We finish the order, we got materials, finished goods, and then we need to do a quality check before we can move the items from the production area, right, back to where it's supposed to be for picking. That is obviously true. We can absolutely do that, but time or quantity is key here, because we will see later today that Business Central gives me the opportunity to trigger a quality inspection on any kind of output. And output for production is not just material output, it's capacity output, right? Hours, time, or even subcontracting, which opens a new probably opportunity for a new demo, because we can use quality management on the receipt of a subcontracting order with no material movements. Very sophisticated, but not in scope for today, because that requires probably even more than half an hour. It's a bit complex. The last thing that I want to discuss today is inventory and warehousing, because we can use any registration for any warehouse movement, warehouse activity, to trigger a quality inspection. That means shipment, not just receipts. And I will show you today that I'm going to go through an example where I can pick an item for shipment, and once I complete or I finish the pick, the items are in my shipment bin. Before I can ship the item, I can actually trigger a quality inspection for items that I just picked. So very complex and very sophisticated. We can do that already. So, but please let me know if you have any question. Write in the comments or raise your hands. I'm happy to answer a question. Let's go through the production scenario. Right. The scenarios are managed on the quality inspection templates. If I can spell it, quality templates. There we go. Quality inspection templates are rules that we defined about the scope of the quality. You can see I have a receiving and picking example we'll see in a moment. Or production for food, packaging, right? They're just demo data that I got it from the Kronos. But we can set up our own rule, of course. So what's in a template? We have a header and lines, and the headers are lines that we choose and we create with a pass of condition and the allowable values. Now, you might think that these are hard-coded, but they're actually not hard-coded. This is also the interesting part about quality management. We can create our own quality and test. And look at this example. This is a quality test that I create. And the fields, the values that I am going to make as allowable values, you can see bad, mild, or no other, and a pass or fail condition. And you say, well, how do you create this, right? Well, there is a table lookup on the new table, which is a quality test lookup value, that allows me to create these fields that don't exist in Business Central, right? So it's all well explained in the official training. So text, decimal values, and so on. So don't think about quality inspections as something you can run on existing database fields. You can create those fields using these tables, and there's no code needed, right? But the interesting point here is the inspection generation rules. And we start with production, and then later in a moment, I will show you an example on warehouse management. Both these examples might require an extra hour, right, of demo, because it is so much. I want to give you the framework, the foundations. Most of you, if not all of you, already know Business Central very well. Some of you better than me, in fact. So this is a good starting point that you can use your demo sandbox to explore further. Right, production food, we have the intent, which pretty much reflect, right, the generation rules that I had, that I showed you in the setup, right? And so here I choose one, but I can have more. I will see later. The table I choose here is production order routing line, not the order line, right? Again, the order line is about what we produce. The production routing line is what we produce and all the operations related to it. Sometimes, when in case of the last operation, they match, they are the same thing. But of course, a routing line gives you the opportunity to register capacity without output. And here I have an item attribute that says, well, it must be dairy product, right? We can use attributes on the item. In this case, of course, is the item that we produce, right? Because unless we use WIP items, a production order routing line is always linked to the item that we produce, even if there is no output. Attributes that now are on variants. So if you use variants, you can trigger a quality inspection based on the attribute of the variant, not of the item. So when production output is posted, and this means capacity too, right? And then lastly, right, we have the what I wanted to show you. The filters here, conditions. So this is where it gets very interesting, because I set up the filters on rules that essentially tells the system that this rule, generation rules, must trigger an inspection only when I work on this machine department, but when the posted setup time is not 0. Now, any filter on the production order routing line. Production order routing lines store posted setup, run, move time, output, scrap. You don't have to link the capacity ledger entries back to it. It's already there. So this is a simple rule. When posted setup time is not 0, for work center 400, when there is an item where dairy is yes, well, you need to trigger a quality inspection. And so let me go back to the example now. I have a released production order that I created. And there we go. I got a strawberry ice cream that I want to make. Okay, very simple example. Of course, this item is, it's got an attribute of dairy, yes, so it contains dairy. And the routing includes a machine department. And I got set on time and runtime. So what happens now? Now that I look at my production journal and I'm going to filter on, there we go, on machine center 400, all I need to do is to record 10 minutes of setup time. I'm just preparing my machine to mix milk and strawberries and make my lovely ice cream. When I post, I don't have output, by the way. Output quantity is 0. Okay, I'm just posting labor, just posting setup time. I posted. Look what happens. An inspection has been created, and I see it on the production order routing line. I open the inspection, and now the system is telling me that it's time to, of course, I got no quantity because there's no material, right? I didn't create any output. I could have, if I were testing the output, I could see the item, the lots number, serial number, there we go. And here I can see control information that I'm checking the production order routing line. And from here, I can also see the source document. So now you can split this one in two, right? Quality department is checking what production is going on. Maybe they are waiting for me, right? I could take a picture of the machine that I'm just checking, right? And I can create all sorts of automation. Again, I will show later. Let's see. Order, I say failed because it's not done yet. There's no order. There we go. Visual check, is it yes or no? Yes, I've done my visual check. Oops, no, I should push the yes. There we go. Now it's passed. And the temperature of my machine for my ice cream should be between -20 and 5, let's say -15, okay? I can just random stuff for testing, okay? And so all I need to do here, quantity based, there's no quantity. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to finish. And once I finish, my test is passed and is linked to the routing lines. And now I can move on. Now I could have more rules here that says that if this test fails, block the work center. So we don't make, of course, the ice cream for with the use that machine that it just failed the quality test. And so what I can do, I can route the operation to a different mixer, right? Or of course, someone needs to take it, decision. So you can see how sophisticated this can be. I can do all sorts of setup and rules on production output, which is not material, right? Just operations. Of course, if you enable material, you can test the item, you can test the lot number, you can reclass the lot. But again, that's all stuff that you can find out on Microsoft Learn. But if you want to, we can set up another training. So, what is the shipment part? Inspection templates, because well, we don't really have anything on the setup page. It tells me that I need to trigger something that I'm shipping, right? But that doesn't matter really, because once I have rules that I can generate on warehouse movements, the problem is solved, because any kind of warehouse activity linked to a sales order, a shipment, a pick, is a type of warehouse movement. And so here I create this example to show you on purpose that the same quality inspection templates with the same tests can be linked to two different generation rules. One for a purchase on a purchase line. So when I buy items with certain characteristics, right? You can see here I use the item category parts, and I say, well, when I buy parts from this vendor, trigger the warehouse receipt, right? When the purchase is received through the warehouse, right? Or I can enable warehouse management. But I can have a different generation rule for the same templates. In this case, the intent of the scope is a warehouse movement. And now I can see the warehouse entry, not the journal lines, not the receipt lines. Warehouse entries covers pretty much everything. And look what I've done here. I set up a filter on a warehouse entry where the bin code is within the range of my shipment bins. Let me show you what I got here. If I do Control X, you can see I've got 3 shipment bins in my location. So with this filter, see all 3 bins are shipment bins. I'm going to say, well, whenever there is a movement, warehouse entry, that applies to any of the shipment bins, and when the source document of the warehouse entry is a sales order, trigger a quality inspection. Essentially what I'm doing here, once the pick is registered, because the warehouse pick linked to a source document sales order, and will be finished in the shipment bin. Once these rules are true, and for items which are item category parts, I can set up a rule that tells me when the movement is registered, when I register the pick, create the inspection yourself. I can show you how it works, but I can do something even better. I can show you that it will be pretty much like what I showed you in a moment, just a few minutes ago. I register the pick. The system tells me, well, it's time to check this pick. And again, with rules, with workflows, I can say, well, if the pick fails the quality inspection, block the item. So we don't ship it. We don't ship to the customer, right? We need to do something, right? We need to repick. We need to create a re-inspection, right, and so on. But what I'm going to show you here is something else. The create quality inspection action that I can trigger from the template. And now the template, of course, is this template. The source is the purchase to inspect, but actually, you can see I have also sales orders to inspect, source lines, so we can do so much. But I'm going to do now, I'm going to inspect a warehouse entry. There is also warehouse journal to sales line for inventory pick, all right? And if I choose a record, now I can see that I got a pick. And now we've got two movements, right? From pick, the pick took, right, the item from one bin to the other, and I also have the shipment and the sales order. The source code is here. Let me show you what the system is asking me to do. Sales orders, right? And it should be, there we go, the last one. I create this order for a part. This item category is a part for my location with direct put away and pick. So full WMS. If I am going to look at related warehouse shipment lines, I have the shipment. And this shipment is completely picked. You can see this is the bin code and this is it. This is the item. And if I check registered pick lines, these are the two warehouse movement lines that the system essentially is asking me to do the quality inspection. In some documents, you actually have the quality inspections on the lines here, but not here. And so I just finished this pick. The warehouse shipment is completely picked, ready to be delivered, ready to be shipped, right? But next, attached to it, I can trigger the quality inspection. So let's go back to sales orders, quality inspections, and say, well, I'm going to inspect the movement because the item is in my shipment bin. There we go. And now I've got a quality inspection for the item that I just created to the items that I just picked, right? And look, it points to the warehouse shipment, right? And I'm going to, again, do it again. And at some point, you probably got the idea, right? If this one, if I mark it as failed, I can take a picture of the items in my shipment bin that failed the test. I can create a movement. It's going to be a transfer order. I can do an internal put away to move the items back into a quarantine area, re-trigger a new pick, right? And do something with this item, right? I can even, I don't see it here, but through workflows, I can even reclass the item lot number if this was a lot. So I can create a sub-lot, put it in quarantine and start again. There is so much we can do with this module that I could probably spend the next 2 hours going through all the scenarios. But of course, hopefully, right, you got the idea. So let me see in the chat if anyone's got any question, because we are, pretty much, near the end of this meeting. We just got a few minutes. If you haven't got any question, I can probably spend the next few minutes reminding you about D365 training. We do training for certifications. We do bespoke training. If you want to book a few hours for to learn the quality inspection for you and your team, we can do that. And for our partner clients and small and medium organizations, we often do learning and management, learning development advice, which is a bit of consulting, but with learning and development, which means we don't just consult you, right? We don't just do consulting, but we help upskill your team so that you can make the most of your system. So everything is on www.d365training.com. Or if you found, if you're here, you probably found my my video, my link to from LinkedIn. So you can send me a message on LinkedIn, and so we can take it from there. I got a question. Dear Anne, thanks for the session. Can you show how to do the configuration and what actions to be done by the system when the infection fails? So absolutely. Let's do that. So what can we do when it fails? So on simple configuration on the inspection templates, we have the option also to trigger an inspection for order for non-item documents or service orders. Roman, good questions. Items of type non-inventory can be used for quality inspection because as long as they have the you trigger an item ledger entry or a warehouse entry. So non-inventory items you cannot use warehouse movement, of course, but non-inventory items post to the item ledger entry, right? Therefore, or the purchase receipts. Therefore, you can actually do that. Okay. So with the inspection generation rules that you set up here, actually, let me go back to the main setup, quality management setup, right? Under related, you have the results and you can configure results and you can, you see, these are not hard coded. I can write more. I can say that when a particular test, failed, I might allow or not allow sales. For example, I can say blocked, right? But I probably don't want to allow assembly consumption, right? For example, or other movements. This is the basics, really. So an inspection which is in work in progress might be blocked for sales. So there's no need to put the item in quarantine while you do the inspection. Okay, it will be blocked for you automatically here. But more important than that are the workflows, because now with this new module, we have new workflow templates, which are very powerful. Actually, not workflow templates, unfortunately, because there are no templates, but there are workflows. So if I look at the workflow templates, I don't see anything related to quality, which is a bit disappointing, right? But if I can create a new from scratch, and I say reclass failed quality inspections, okay? Whatever. And so I'm going to put I'm going to create a quality inspection because I want to inspections because I want to categorize my workflow so I can manage them well. And then now what we got here, we got a whole new set of triggers and events related to quality. And this takes this module to the next level, really. Because what I can do here, when an quality inspection is finished, on condition that the template is my production food example, right? And I can add more, right, rules to it: document number, evaluation, secret fail quantity, the item number or the lot number for the location. There's so much you can do. Order sources. Look at all the custom fields that we got because of the the rules. And so the template, the trigger record, for example, right, and so on. But something very simple. On condition that a quality inspection for production food has failed, now you got all these responses: blocked lot, change item tracking information triggers an item reclass journal or a warehouse reclassification journal. Remember what I said earlier, a sublot. You can actually trigger the creation of a sublot. And so I got 50 items on one lot that I received. 20 fail, but the rest are fine. Those who fail can be reclassed into a sublot through a reclassification journal and put away, while the rest is usable. Okay? This is very cool, right? Create a purchase return immediately. So for a receipt, if the receipt fails, I can automatically, right, trigger a warehouse return that will put the right item, the right tracking information. It will attach the quality inspection. And if you want to, you can even print a certificate of non-conformance that you can attach to your return and say, dear vendor, this is what happened to your item. Please send me a refund, right? Or you can re-inspect, because you know what happens? Well, an inspection has failed. Let's call the quality manager. They can do a new inspection. Maybe the quality manager can do a manual override. So, all right, I sign it off. You're good to go, right? Move inventory, right? Or set the database value, and then you can say block item, block vendor, flag. This is what you would do with if your work center fails an inspection, right? Find the table work center and put the blocked field to yes, blocked, right? If the machine failed. So there is so much to show the supplier approval process and quality confirmation reports. One major that's also excellent. So this question, I got a question. Show the supplier approval process and quality confirmation report certificate. There's a lot to cover on this question about supplier approval process. At the moment, quality inspection does not allow me to run a quality inspection on suppliers or customers, like vendor relationship management, right? You can only run the quality inspection of items received from a supplier. You cannot do a quality check on the supplier if you're vetting, right, for a supplier for qualification, right? Another question, okay, we modified expiry date on the lot and this comes to the workflow. You can modify the expiry date through a reclass, right? Because a reclassification journal allows you to create a sublot or to change the expiry date of the lot. So if I look back at the workflows, and let me show you what are the options. Quality inspections that I have not created here. Let me do this one. Okay. So instead of set database value, I say change item tracking information. That's what you need, right? And so you can see failed quantity, new lot, new expiry date. There we go. And here you can have a date formula, right? But the best thing to do, in my opinion, is to create a new lot, because the new lot now and a new expiry date potentially, right? Because with that, you change the expiry date over the entire lot. Here, you can actually add the test and the inspection format. And so the new lot here will be part of the, the test that you may have done, and the quality inspection may be, let me see, source lot number, right? Slash inspection number, right? And so see if we can choose an inspection. I don't have anything with a lot number, so it doesn't show it. But again, so the new sublot can be existing lot slash the quality inspection order number that failed the lot. And so you can see how traceability will get, everything will get together. So rather than changing just the expiry date, I will probably do a new lot, reclass it, right, and give it an expiry date, right? Serial number, package numbers. You can see locations, and you can see post immediately or just create the entries, posting immediately. will pretty much reclass the lot automatically once you finish the quality inspection. And so quality management people will be happy, while the warehouse team can keep doing their job, because maybe part of that lot is good and can be used, right? Excellent. Okay, so 4 minutes over time. We can close it here. I hope you find it interesting and beneficial. I will send you the recording later today. There is so much more we can do with this module. And again, by all means, go check the official Microsoft documentations, on top of which you can apply what we discussed today. And again, if you want me to help you train yourself or your team or your clients, you know where to find me. All right. Excellent. Thank you, everybody. I'll see you in the next time. Thank you all.